right, today we're going full Ali G. I have the hat, I have the glasses, I got the jersey, so you're gonna have to deal with me. All right, today we're gonna look at why tiny New Zealand dominates rugby. Why tiny New Zealand dominates rugby. And this has to be the All Blacks, right? I get most of my ideas from the comments, talking to you guys, reading your comments, you guys telling me what you enjoy about rugby and what I should check out. And I got to thinking that who has like the highest winning percentage, who has the most wins, that type of thing. And so I kind of just typed that into YouTube and this is what came up. So we're going to check this out. If you like this type of content, hit that like button. Let me know. If you want to follow me on my journey with rugby, come along with me, man. Hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you. All right, let's get in the right screen here. And I am standing up, man. There's a duct that goes through here. You know, I have to deal with this, so you're going to have to deal with it today. I want to stand up today, man. I sit too much at my desk. We should be standing up and exercising more, right? And Lord knows I need it. All right, let's check this out.
In September 2023, these 20 countries will participate in the biggest tournament of one of the world's most popular sports.
Wait. Okay, so he's saying 2023. This already happened. Yeah, September 2023. Okay, what was this?
20 countries will participate in the biggest tournament of one of the world's most popular sports, rugby.
Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to pause it just because, you know, if it's going to get demonetized, I'm not too worried about because that happens all the time anyways, but it might get blocked. Oh my God, look at it. He's got his tongue out, just going full in on this try, isn't he? I don't know. We're going to see if I'm going to even be able to post this. I just realized there's music playing, so yeah. All right, if you see me, let me know. Let me know in the comments that you actually seen it. Well, I'll know you've seen it. Never mind. Forget about it. Let's watch.
And you could make a strong argument that one of these 5 teams will win it. England invented the sport and has reached the World Cup finals 4 times. South Africa won the last World Cup in 2019. Ireland is currently ranked number 1 in the world, and France is hosting the tournament. Then there's New Zealand, who might win because, well, they're the most dominant team in the history
because they're
of rugby,
New Zealand.
and arguably in all of sports history.
Wait. I was talking over that. I apologize. You guys are probably already yelling at me in the
Then
comments.
there's New Zealand, who might win because, well, they're the most dominant team in the history of rugby, and arguably in all of sports history.
Damn, that's a statement, right? In all of rugby history and maybe all sports history. So this is something I don't dive into stuff before I watch it. I want to watch it, react to it, learn about it, and this is like a conversation between me and you. All right? You know, I talk to you, I say stupid stuff, you let me know I said stupid stuff in the comments, and then you let me know what it actually is. But so I think because we're on the balance of me learning about new sports and enjoying it, and you coming along with me when that's happening, and I don't want to degrade that by why would I make a video if I just went and learned all about it prior, right? Okay, sorry about that rant. Some of the comments, yeah, whatever. So how long has New Zealand been around in the rugby world? Obviously a very long time. Okay. And this is from Search Party, is the channel. Make sure you guys, let's give them a like, obviously. And subscribe. I think I'm already subscribed to them, right? No, I am now. Okay, there we go. Boom. And then this came out only a year ago. But he said coming up in 2003.
Champions for the second time.
Since 1903, the New Zealand All Blacks rugby team has only lost to 7 countries,
1903,
but
there we go.
has a comfortable winning record against all of them.
Oh, let's check this out really quick. A 124 and 45 is Australia. Wait a minute. They don't have New Zealand's up there. Argentina 33-2, 62 and 39, 33-2 Argentina. Wait, let me back up a minute because I'm not understanding. What are these against again?
Has only lost to 7 countries, but has a comfortable winning record against.
This is the winning record of New Zealand against these countries. Australia, I love you, but that's not looking good. It's not 124 to 45. South Africa is probably their biggest rival of New Zealand, right? And 62-39. Argentina's only beat them twice. France has only beat them 5 times. Wales 3 times. Wow. That's impressive.
All of them. That's all the more impressive when you take into account that New Zealand today only has a population of 5 million people, a fraction of the other countries that have made a World Cup final.
Very unique, obviously, for us to dominate the world because we are a very small part of it.
There is a fervent following of this team, almost religious at times.
So it begs the question, how did such a tiny country create such a dominant sports team?
Great part to stop, because that's what I was thinking myself. And if you don't like me stopping and chatting and stuff like that, I'm sorry. You can go watch this. I'll put this link in the description below. But my 2 cents is what I was wondering too, and they're probably going to explain this to me. But you have such a smaller population compared to the other countries that have that sports team as rugby. And so with the larger countries, obviously you have more people to choose from to get the better players. But New Zealand just grows amazing players, apparently, huh? Wow. I mean, that's got to be a culture thing where it's just you're born and bred from day one to want to play rugby or something. I don't know.
So it begs the question, how did such a tiny country create such a dominant sports team? And can the New Zealand All Blacks stay on top?
Pausing for copyright issues. All right. The Invincibles.
Rugby combines the less placid features of American football and English soccer. You can run, pass, or kick the ball, while at the same time protecting yourself from the combined assault of the enemy.
Rugby is a fast, violent, and chaotic sport with many rules, but one basic premise: get the ball to your opponent's end of the field. The modern form of the game was invented at a school in Rugby, England, around 1820. At the time, England had a world-spanning empire, and it introduced rugby to its colonies, like South Africa and Australia in the 1860s, then New Zealand in the 1870s, where it became especially popular.
When rugby came to New Zealand, it came from origins in the UK, where it was very much related to class structure. The elite schools played rugby in the UK.
Tony Johnson is a rugby expert, author, and TV broadcaster in New Zealand.
Welcome back, and Caleb Clark is in!
When it came to New Zealand, it really was the game for everyone. It didn't matter where you came from, what school you went to, you had a go at this game.
That included New Zealand's indigenous population, the Maori. They formed rugby teams almost immediately, and as early as the 1880s, a mostly Maori rugby team called the Natives played matches in other countries.
It was indeed a Maori person, Tom Ellison, who first came up with the idea of New Zealand wearing this black jersey.
Those jerseys are how New Zealand's national team came to be known as the All Blacks.
Nice.
And in 1905, they set off
awesome.
across the ocean to play matches, which, when played between countries, are called tests. The All Blacks surprised everyone by playing a faster, more expansive, and far more organized style of rugby than had ever been seen before. They played 35 tests, and they only lost once. A success that not only changed rugby, but also how the world saw New Zealand.
Yeah. People would have to be like, what are they doing over there? What are they putting in the water? They'd have to be studying them too, man. What are they doing to be so good at this game?
A success that not only changed rugby, but also how the world saw New Zealand.
New Zealand was starting to search for its own identity. This was the start of it. This was New Zealand, not so much a British subject anymore, but our own people.
After the tour, the All Blacks embodied that new national identity by fusing rugby with New Zealand culture, most famously by performing a Maori war dance called the haka before every test.
I think initially the haka was a greeting, also a challenge, often performed before a battle. Some people feel that the haka gives the All Blacks an unfair advantage. It's psychological.
In 1924, this All Blacks team won all 32 tests on an overseas tour, earning them the nickname the Invincibles. They raised New Zealand's expectations for the All Blacks from simply winning to dominating world rugby.
The superlative All Blacks rugby machine. They once more confirmed their absolute supremacy. World champion. The New Zealand War Machine, all set to join the other nations who've fallen before the invincible All Blacks.
Damn. Man, back then, that had to have been something to see. You know what I mean? Them coming over to Europe and performing this haka. because back then these guys in Europe are like, what the hell is this? They don't have YouTube. They don't have any way of knowing the first time seeing that. And the players on the other team, it has to be a little bit in their heads, right? Back in those times, that's crazy.
According to data gathered by ESPN, between 1900 and 1989, the All Blacks won 71% of their tests.
Wow.
In 1987, they won the first ever Rugby World Cup. Then from 1990 to 2009, the All Blacks achieved a staggering 80% win rate. When they did lose, they always turned things around by developing new strategies.
You know, we're not the biggest people in the world. The South Africans produce these giants. England are very...
Dude, that is something. I mean, yeah, so that is crazy. These coaches and whoever's coming up with these plays and the skills and trainings, I mean, that's nuts. But there's something else I want to... I'm going to watch one of these, too, from South Africa, because there's a guy there that looks like a freaking Viking. I think he's like 10 foot tall, 300 pounds, all muscle. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. But that's for a video coming up. But anyways, that is impressive because there's no way, there can't be any other team, any other sport that would have this type of win percentage. And anybody involved in that team, like for their coaches and all that other stuff, has to be just, wow. Yeah, I don't know, making a shit ton of money, and they should be recruited from all over the world trying to get them on their team, man.
80% win rate. When they did lose, they always turned things around by developing new strategies.
You know, we're not the biggest people in the world. The South Africans produce these giants.
I think this might be the guy. I seen something the other day where I was watching a video, and the dude's just freaking massive. And whenever you watch those Viking movies and stuff like that, I don't know if it's him, though, because I think he had longer hair. But he looked just like one of those. You could just imagine it. A Norse freaking Viking. Oh, my God.
England are very sort of gym-trained muscularity about them. But what we do have is a combination of athleticism, skill, but also be willing to try something just a little bit out of the ordinary.
More than 100 years after it started playing rugby, this small country of a few million people was still producing the best rugby players in the world, year after year. So how does New Zealand do it?
Yes,
to make this video, we needed to do a ton of research, which meant going a lot of different places on the internet, which you may or may not have noticed has become kind of sketchy. A lot of people out there are getting a lot better at stealing your information, and it's a way it can be persisted, and it's why I protected at block in a. They're the sponsored deal description below. They're also offering this video in order to be. Now it's time.
Boys and girls.
Alice Soper is a rugby player and journalist.
You can be 6, so like 5 or 6, and they play something called Ripper Rugby, which is like a primer to the tackle where they have flags on their shorts.
Ripper Rugby teaches kids how to run, pass, and catch. And it's how New Zealand maximizes the number of people who try rugby, thereby maximizing the pool of talent, entering a pipeline that feeds the All Blacks. By the time kids turn 13, they're playing tackle rugby and join club and school teams. Many high schools called.
So I'm assuming this is kind of what they're doing now around the world, right? Because this looks like the same thing like they do with football, soccer in Europe and stuff like that. And the U.S. is starting to get youth organizations as well now. But I'm assuming this is kind of what is going on around the world now, right? But this is what New Zealand put this together. The strategy, I'm assuming.
Colleges in New Zealand field multiple teams, again, to keep as many playing as possible. But the best boys play on their school's top team, where the best of the best are increasingly identified as potential future All Blacks.
You could almost liken it to college sport in the United States.
You're watching Land Rover First 15 Rugby, where we show you the stars of tomorrow today.
Then after graduating, the best are hired by teams to play in New Zealand's professional rugby league, Super Rugby. Only professional players that play in New Zealand are eligible to reach the top level, the All Blacks. It's a way for the team to ensure that there is a constant stream of new players that learn the game the New Zealand way.
They have to be all things. So they've got to be able to kick, they've got to be able to run, they've got to be able to tackle.
There's an expectation that they will play rugby the way the New Zealand public expect to see them play, which is this rather flamboyant style.
Around
Possibly the greatest generation of All Blacks ever played from about 2010 to 2016. Over that time span, they won 90% of their tests.
Wow.
And never lost at home. Plus, they won 2 more World Cup championships. Several players on the 2015 team played at the same schools, and they all played for one of 5 Super Rugby teams.
Probably the most well-known would be Richie McCaw. He was your typical kind of like hard man, absolutely no fear going into the contact.
Damn!
For example.
That was cool. I don't know if you guys seen that. But he did, like, crawled over the guy, went into like a slow flip, and grabbed the ball
5
from
Super
him.
Rugby teams.
Probably the most well-known would be Richie McCaw. He was your typical kind of like hard man.
Look at this. He is up over his back,
Absolutely no fear.
going over him into a somersault while grabbing the ball, and he comes up with it.
Daniel
Boom,
Carter,
he has
for
it.
example, who was like the Joe Montana of the
That
All
is
Blacks.
fucking impressive.
He was a brilliant player, but he was a great strategist as well.
But while the top of the pipeline gets all the glory, New Zealand's real advantage over its much bigger rivals is at the bottom.
Other countries may have a similar kind of narrow trajectory through your schoolboys into your academies. They just don't have as many people bundling in at that beginning point.
It's quite a rugged sort of a game that suited the early pioneers of New Zealand, and these days it provides opportunity now for young people coming out of perhaps some of the more difficult socio-economic areas of New Zealand.
So the All Blacks dominate rugby because New Zealand transformed it into a game for everyone. But whether or not their domination continues is up for debate.
Huge World Cup upset.
So another question I have is could it be because there's not that many other sports there? I think they have soccer, and they call it soccer in New Zealand, as far as I'm aware. But they don't play anything else, do they really? Is there other sports that I'm not aware of in New Zealand? I could just be ignorant, and that's true, probably. But it's the national sport, I'm assuming, and that's why everybody wants to play it. I mean, you've seen those boys and girls playing at a very young age. So that could be one of the biggest, things.
Because New Zealand transformed it into a game for everyone. But whether or not their domination continues is up for debate.
Huge World Cup upset. These men are too good for the All Blacks.
In 2019, the All Blacks failed to make the World Cup finals. Then in 21 and 22, they lost a stretch of 6 out of 8 tests, which pushed them to an all-time low ranking of 5th in the world.
Wow.
It led some to speculate that the All Blacks were in decline and question whether they could continue to dominate world rugby. Blame was placed on the COVID pandemic and the All Blacks coach Ian Foster. Most importantly, though, the losses forced New Zealanders to reflect on how their country's relationship with rugby is changing. A 2018 report found that the number of high school boys playing rugby was falling, while other sports were on the rise.
New Zealand.
There we go. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about, right? So I sometimes I know what I'm talking about, or I think I know what I'm talking about. But so obviously rugby is the top, and then football. I'm assuming maybe they're calling it football, and that's the soccer one. Basketball has taken over, which is shocking to me. In New Zealand, I didn't think they were huge on that. Then volleyball and badminton. Basketball's taken over football and is steadily climbing pretty damn fast at the end there. And rugby is on a decline there.
Phenomenal success in sports like rowing, basketball, but they've taken away athletes who once upon a time would have been All Blacks.
Like a lot of kind of male prevalent sports, they then start to take on that identity of like real heavily masculine spaces, which isn't necessarily what people want to be around. It's become out of step with younger New Zealanders.
And many worry that high school rugby is increasingly...
Are they trying to... Wait a minute. Is she saying that the masculine... I don't know if I heard this right, but they're saying that the younger people, younger boys, to be men, are getting away from the masculine. That's not good if that's the case, if that's what they're talking about masculine sports and stuff like that. I mean, that's...
It's like real heavily masculine spaces, which isn't necessarily what people want to be around. It's become out.
That doesn't make any sense to me, and I might be out of touch. And I get without getting into politics and other crap, I get where that stuff is supposed to be whatever, but never mind. I don't want to get into it.
The step with younger New Zealanders.
And many worry that high school rugby is increasingly dominated by a few privileged schools that are making the game too professional at the expense of the rest. A 2013 investigation found that 5 schools in Auckland are estimated to have spent $400,000 on their rugby teams, while their competitors spent only $50,000. Over the next 5 years, the number of Auckland high school rugby teams fell from 225 to 181.
It's become very elitist, with the schools really focusing on the elite teams. What happens to all the players who aren't good enough to play for the first team?
Just a lot of pressure when you're 15. So we're starting to see people realize, oh, well, this isn't working out here. We need to be changing things.
The most immediate challenge keeping the All Blacks from total domination, though, is the rest of the world. The rivals are getting better, particularly France and Ireland. Additionally, professional rugby leagues in Europe and Asia are getting very popular, and they're attracting a lot of New Zealand's players, making them ineligible to play for the All Blacks.
And even the lure of that black jersey for some players simply isn't enough when they think they can set themselves up for life.
In England, you've got a couple of Kiwis that are over there. If you look at the European teams, same thing there. Japan, currently run by a New Zealander. We put our people everywhere, and then we're surprised when they start to know our tricks.
So while the loss of these players may hurt the All Blacks' ability to win tests, it does ensure that New Zealanders will continue to remain at the cutting edge of rugby well into the future.
Now, even though the popularity of boys rugby may be falling in New Zealand, the popularity of women's rugby there is exploding. And
I think the popularity of women's rugby everywhere is exploding. For what I've been hearing in the comments and the videos that I haven't really watched any women's yet. I've seen them. I just haven't watched them yet because I've been saving them for probably to do them on here. But I can tell that it's a very popular women's rugby has to be the most popular women's sport in the world. Am I wrong on that? Because that's what it seems like to me anyways.
Popularity of boys rugby may be falling in New Zealand. The popularity of women's rugby there is exploding. And the women's All Blacks team is number 2 in the world.
I called it the women's All Blacks. I know they're the Ferns now. Someone got on me in the comments. He just called it the women's All Blacks.
Thanks again for watching episode 3. This was a fun one to do.
Oh, this
to
is
all
the
of you
end.
that have subscribed and become a members, thanks so much. It's been
all right, guys. Make sure you guys check these guys out. Amazing content. I learned a lot. It's very interesting, and I really like diving deep into this type of topics. It's just fun for me. I don't know why, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. YouTube thinks you'll like one of these videos over here. Go check those out and let me know if you do. And you have a wonderful evening. Bye.